Hey, real estate agents, welcome to the Weekly Closer. I'm your host, Jeff Underwood, along with my co-host, Joey Sampaga. I don't think I've said it like that for a while.
No, you haven't. That actually sounds pretty darn good.
Yeah, there we go. Maybe I should do it again. No, we're good.
We're good.
I only want to say your name one time, so. How have you been, man?
I've been all right. We got on a trip to Colorado and passed down through New Mexico and did some four-wheeling. So it was an amazing time. I know that you went to Kentucky, right?
Yep. Bourbon tour.
There you go.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
Hey, we've got a great guest with us in the house. We got Eric Heil with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services and the Berkshire Hathaway Luxury Group. Welcome back, Eric.
Thank you. Thanks, Joey and Jeff. Appreciate you guys inviting me back.
Absolutely.
I screwed up too much last time. I got a return invite.
Absolutely. Big shout out to Sherry Griffin too with Security Title, right?
Yeah, they're awesome. Sherry and Kim, Felix, they do a great job. They're one of my better marketing partners in this industry, and they're helping me right now through what I'll call decent slowdown in the marketplace, which I know we'll probably end up talking about.
Yeah,
but sure. Great company, Security Title, and they're great to work with.
All right. Well, let's start with you sharing again, like when you got into the business and what got you into it.
Sure, absolutely. So I'm from St. Louis, went to University of Missouri for college, and out of college, I worked about 6 months for Citibank. And while I was working for them and even interviewing, leaving college, I was trying to get on with Anheuser-Busch. I had a friend that his brother worked for the company, and he was in a great department and was telling me all this fun stuff that they were doing. And I just kept pestering the heck out of them to get a job, to work for that company, and ended up 6 months out of college. And while I was working with Citibank, they gave me an offer to come work for them for about 9 years, and then left that industry. At the time, when I was working for Budweiser, I was in the sports marketing department, and one of my primary sports properties that I was working on was NASCAR. And while I was at one of those events, was talking to a partner within the company, the licensing company that did a lot of stuff with Budweiser and a lot of the drivers, and ended up taking a position with them here in Phoenix, where I live now, in Scottsdale. And moved out here in 2003 with that company, worked for them for a year and a half. And then they got bought out by NASCAR and another track owner. They bought the company 50-50. When they did that, they told everyone, hey, not everyone, but they said, you're going to move because we're going to close this office down. You can either go to Charlotte, North Carolina, or Daytona Beach, Florida, which was where NASCAR was primarily stationed. And I just decided I loved real estate. I'd worked and had some rental properties, and just really was always interested in real estate. And I thought, this would be a good time to, instead of taking a move, to stay where I really like being. I love this weather, and I really love Scottsdale and just everything here. And it's just a great place to live. It's a very livable city. Although we have 3 months of really hot weather. Right now in October is when our weather changes, and it's great. I drove to work today with my sunroof open and windows down, and it's one of the best places to live for the next eight to 9 months. It's just beautiful. So I decided to stay. I got my real estate license, and that was at the beginning of 2005. And I've been doing real estate full time since then, and I love it. Very passionate about it.
I didn't know that you went to the University of Missouri. I don't know if we mentioned that last time, but Mizzou, huh? All right.
Yeah, Mizzou. Yeah, I don't know if we did talk about that. Yeah.
Ever since they moved to the SEC, their football record is not as good as
yeah, a little more challenging for them. Yeah. When I was there, they had a great football program and great school. I've only been back twice, but not in many years. And the last time that I had gone back, it actually wasn't for a football game or any kind of event. I was actually driving through from Kansas City, driving through, and I drove through the campus, and man, I'm sure like any campus, there's so many changes, but it was almost unrecognizable since I was there in the early 90s, the changes that have been made on that campus. And I think for a positive, from a positive standpoint, just very beautiful. And they just did a great job with the campus. It looks totally different from when I was there.
Yeah, for sure. So you are part of the luxury group over at Berkshire Hathaway.
Yes.
So I guess tell us a little bit about how you got into the luxury arena, I guess.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, when I started off in real estate, I first worked for Coldwell Banker for about 10 years. And when I started with Coldwell Banker, they had a luxury program. I would say it wasn't, it wasn't a huge presence, but I picked an office that was close to the Biltmore Arcadia area and Paradise Valley, which are kind of the center of what I'll say luxury. Although luxuries in North Scottsdale and Scottsdale, there are luxurious properties, very nice estates. But I tried to really spend my time focused on the bigger sales and trying to get to know about the luxury market and the products that they're putting in these large estate homes, and got to be friends with one of the builders. His name's Gary Geets. He's still in the business, but out in California. He does some stuff with solar, and he's starting to build some homes back out there. But he did a lot of luxury homes in Paradise Valley, up in Silverleaf, and throughout Scottsdale. And just a really good guy, builder friend. I didn't have his listings, but another agent who's still in the business, Walt Danley, a really great friend of mine, good guy, sells a ton of luxury real estate. Walt had allowed me to hold open some of their homes, these spec homes that they had. And when I got in the market in 2005, the market was, as you guys know, it was crazy. It was just seeing this huge uptick, and the mortgage industry was going through some, would eventually go through some changes. But at the time, there were these these loans that you could get basically with stated income. So you could just say, hey, I'm making this, and the lender would be like, okay, good, here you go, here's your loan. And so there wasn't a lot of scrutinizing someone's income or really checking some of the boxes on what they should have been checking. So the market took off like crazy, and I was sitting some of these homes open, these spec homes later on that would not sell when the market curtailed back and that subprime industry just basically went away. A lot of these builders, unfortunately, were sitting around with some homes, and a lot of them. And unfortunately, Gary was sitting on a lot of half-built homes and a lot of finished spec homes that we were trying to sell. And I'd sit those open, every weekend, and I got to learn about the products in there. And although I worked for the same brokerage that had the listings, I was new to the industry. So I would just hold those open and meet people. And that's kind of how I started my business, was meeting the people that were walking into these multi-million-dollar homes and getting to know them, passing out my card, just generally just getting myself out there in front of people. And I think that's the main way that I really started in the industry, was to put myself in front of those people, the high dollar people, because I didn't know anybody really in Arizona. I moved out here from St. Louis in 2003. So I didn't have a base of people that I knew. I didn't have any family members out here, really a very small group of friends. So it was a little bit harder on my end to kind of get up and get started because of those reasons, that no one knew who I was. So that's kind of how I got started on the luxury side. And then I got myself involved with the luxury home tour. It's a huge group out here that I now manage the membership for the tour, but I've been a member for many years, and I actually ran the tour back in 2014. I ran the tour and then became a board member, and since then I've been basically doing the membership for them. So I'm constantly in front of the people that are selling these large properties, the other agents. I got to know them really well. And of course, we tour every other Friday. So twice a month, we go on tour in Paradise Valley, Scottsdale, Biltmore, and Arcadia. Those are our main areas. And I get to see the inventory that's out there. So I'm constantly exposed to the new trends in luxury real estate, and also I'm exposed to the properties that are on the market. So I've seen a lot of stuff that's sold and is presently on market. So I think it's just keep your knowledge open of all that type of product, and if you weave yourself into that fabric, you're gonna be around for helping sell someone's home or helping them buy it. So.
I'm curious, Eric. You mentioned that while you were sitting in the open houses, you were learning about the products. So I know that you may be talking about the properties, but are you also talking about the materials, the types of countertops or appliances that are in these homes?
Yeah, the latter, Joey. Yeah, definitely. It was I was learning about, because so I'd get spec sheets from the builder. So I'd get them from Gary Geets. he'd hand me a spec sheet, because if you're holding their home open and you're speaking to potential buyers, they're going to want you to have a knowledge base of what they put in there, whether it was Carrara marble or just a basic granite, or, subway tiles, if it was kind of an ancillary bedroom or an ancillary bathroom rather, that they were putting tiles in. They may not put as higher end of product in there, or if it was Berber carpet versus different types of paints and Cantera around the fireplace. Sometimes he put Cantera stone, sometimes he put limestone. And it's nice that, if you know the difference, and you can kind of tell it too, because sometimes I'll walk into homes now and I can see, I'm not a stone expert, but I have enough knowledge to be dangerous where I could say, hey, that's a limestone. I've seen Gary Geets use that, or some other builders have used that. And limestone's expensive. It's more expensive than a Cantera stone. And then of course, the more design work it has in it, those are all hand carved, products. So you'll see the high end builders, they'll do them for fountains, exterior fountains. They'll do them around pool surfaces, a lot of large fireplaces, indoor, outdoors. So to kind of learn those products and understand the term, groin vault ceiling, or if you see plaster, there's thin set plaster, and there's the full onboard Venetian plaster where they put a drywall on and a chicken wire, and they slather it on there, and then they paint that plaster and sand it down. So it's basically was to learn the products that were going, in and outside of the home.
Yeah, I think that's important, especially today, right? Because before the market changed on us, I mean, as long as the house was there, it's like, oh yeah, this is a house, and boom, you got multiple people bidding on it. Now it's like, okay, now the people who are selling it, us real estate agents, we need to know our product. So
sure, absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of cool to see, because I think where a lot of the trends start is in the upper end, the higher ticketed products. So, some guy might be building a $5 or $10 million home. And, for example, I saw many years ago, one of the builders put a bathtub inside the shower. So he made this huge shower. So you showered on one side, and then the bathtub was within the glass of that.
I've seen that.
Yeah, and it kind of started. I don't know if someone started here. It could have been done in LA or New York first, or outside the country, and someone picked that up and said, "That's a great idea." The floor is all tiled. I mean, you can have water on all the products in there. It doesn't matter, and it kind of encompasses that whole area into one. Now, some people don't like it, some people do, but it's a unique way of doing something. And then I've seen it trickle down to, I don't want to say that a $700,000 or $800,000 home isn't expensive. In fact, 2 years ago, it was really expensive. Now it's more of our kind of medium price, because the pricing has jumped so much. But I've seen some of those homes, the builder was doing that in the master bathroom of some of his products too, which was kind of cool. So they take those design elements, and it will trickle down to what I'll call more of a mainstream purchase, which is kind of neat, because when you're seeing it and you're touring these homes, you kind of pick up on that. And not all of them are winners. I mean, I've seen guys try some stuff that, didn't go anywhere and people complained about, but that I think when you have the money to do it like that, they'll try different things to capture a sale or to impress people. So.
Yeah. So as an investor, when we're fixing and remodeling properties, we look at luxury home, and we get an idea of what we can do if it makes sense cost. Sure. But if you can pull some of those elements out and put it in a lesser expensive product and really impress people, because there's always a wow factor too. I mean, sometimes that hooks people. They say, do the kitchen up the right way, do the landscaping, that, you want to hook someone with landscaping. So you want the curb appeal. So if the house looks like it's got great landscaping and it's manicured really well, it's going to bring people through the door. And then once you got them through the door, what are you going to impress them with? Next thing's a very elegant kitchen, if you can do it. And then of course the master and the master bath are the main areas people are going to be. Mm-hmm. So if you can kind of capture on those three parts, it usually will hook someone that, if a bedroom, has some deficiencies, or an ancillary bathroom isn't up to date. So a lot of people will look past that and say, oh, I can do that later. So if you could hook them with those first three things, you usually have them. Oh, that's a good tip.
Yeah. I hear that paneling is coming back.
I was in a house the other day, and it was a newer home, and they did wood paneling in it. And it was kind of interesting. It wasn't what you'd see like, not the wood paneling like in National Lampoon's Vacation, on the side of the station wagon. I'm not talking that, but it was a unique application, but it was wood paneled walls. And we kind of joked around about it, that it might be coming back. You're right. It just looks a little different.
That's luxury here in the Ozarks.
Oh yeah, I love the Lake of the Ozarks.
So are bathrooms inside the house.
Right.
Yeah. One indoor, one outdoor.
Luxury.
So you've been in the luxury. Gosh, so I would think that it's not only about building relationships then with your buyers and sellers, but it sounds like it's important to build that relationship with other luxury agents too. I mean,
Absolutely.
how important is that?
It's very important. I have a ton of friends in the industry now, and I'm around them a lot just by way of the luxury home tour. And then the other thing I try to do myself, and I think it helps out colleagues too, is go to broker opens when you can. They'll have a broker open, and you're starting to see more of them now. So the last 2 years, you didn't see many, right? Between COVID and the market flying, I mean, you'd list a home on a Friday, and you had 10 offers on Sunday, and you picked the offer and you were done, right? So there weren't broker opens. No one was spending the money, and why would you spend it if it was going to sell in 3 days? So and a lot of people didn't want people going through their house and doing the broker opens because of COVID. So that kind of went away, and it morphed. Obviously, now we have more inventory, and now you're starting to see these broker opens. Agents are saying, "Hey, come out for a wine and cheese, and I'd like to get a price opinion from you and let me find out from you by touring the home what you think we could do. Be helpful, be criticized, but in a very positive way where it's helpful criticism. It's like, hey, you could move those towels over there, change this up, or that room had a little bit of a smell. Maybe they need to clean the carpet over here." And so I always try to go to those when I can. I mean, your time is limited, right? You all got a finite amount of time that we can, go out and be exposed to the different products and do our stuff in our industry. But I try to meet up with these people and go through, just look at the house, give them some professional feedback. And then on top of it, I expose myself to that property. So if I'm driving by it with a client, I can say, hey, 2 weeks ago, I was just in this house, and what was really cool about it was blah, blah, blah. Now they may not be a buyer for that home. They might not care, but it shows that, hey, I'm in this industry, I'm out there, I'm learning the product. And I think it helps me long-term because it shows my clients that I care and that I try to get as much knowledge as I can of the products so I can be informative to them. And then also telling them about the area, hey, what I like about this area is this, it's close to these stores, or you got easy access to the highway, or I think this is a up and coming area. The pricing has been going up in this area, and there's new builds and people remodeling. So I think the more you can get out and see the product and understand the area, the better off you are as a salesperson for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of luxury market, what are you seeing right now? What's going on? I mean, I know it's a lot different than it was last year, probably a lot different than it was 6 months ago, but what are you seeing out there?
Well, on the luxury market, and if we can maybe define it as 2 million and up, we're seeing a kind of a stabilization in pricing. There's not a ton of discounting going on. I went through the cycle in 2005. Since 2005, I've been in the business. So I saw how it took off, and although it was different, right? It was more of a mortgage industry issue than it was anything that really brought the pricing down then and flattened that industry for a while. But it shot up kind of the same way. And when it fell off in 2006, 2007, and for many years going forward, the homes that got hit first with the price reductions and the inventory that was coming on was a lower end price, right? So it was like your $0 to $500,000 homes. Those got hit first really hard because they didn't have the staying power. So you might have one person that's their only home, and they don't have the money they need to get out of it. Let's say they got to get their money. They're in a situation where their interest rate's going to go from 4% to 7%, and they won't be able to afford that new rate. Those are the people that got hit hard, and they had to sell. When you start selling and start doing fire sales, every time you sell and that price inches down, the next person that goes to sell their home, that's the next comp, right? So that's the next comparable home. So if the house 2 doors down from you had the exact same floor plan and you're trying to sell for $550 and you get $525, then your neighbor 2 months later goes to list that same home. And then I'm telling you guys already what you know. They're not going to get 525 likely. I mean, they got a list at 525 in hopes that they're going to get, 515 or 510 or whatever it is. It just kind of progressively keeps coming down that way. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. And I'm not saying we're going to have a collapse at all. I think we're just getting into a normalized market. there's enough inventory on right now that it's kind of showing that Maricopa County, our whole county, which is a very vast area, has now hit more of a normal market. So normal as in it doesn't really benefit a buyer, like it was years ago. It's not benefiting sellers like it was 2 years ago or the last year. It's kind of normalized where you got some not easy. You've got normal negotiations going on, I should say. So I think in the marketplace that we're in right now, you asked about luxury market, it's kind of hitting that. It'll probably hit that last. So that pricing's kind of stable, and they're kind of getting still the prices that they're asking for. That $0 to $1 million right now, we're starting to see a lot of price reductions because there's more inventory on the market. So the people that have to sell are starting to fight, to lower their pricing. I took a client out 2 weeks ago, showed them about 35 homes now over the course of 3.5 days, basically. And I'd say out of the 35 homes I showed, 30 or 28 of them had price reductions already. So they had already been on for about 30 days or 20 days or whatever it is, and they've had a price reduction. That's not uncommon, but I think if you look at the last couple of years, the way the market's going, if a home's sitting there for 30 days or 45 days, all of a sudden people are like, what's going on? What's wrong with my house? Well, that's if you can sell a house in 45 days, I mean, look at 5 years ago where we were. And if you sold a home in 35, 45 days, that was great. You're doing your job and you're getting it out there and you priced it right. It's probably showing well. And compared to what else was being offered at the time, people were picking yours because of those reasons. So the luxury market hasn't been feeling the price reductions yet. It may come, it may not. I think it's going to depend where our overall market is with inflation and interest rates and stuff like that. That the luxury market is usually a little bit less affected by it too, because not more often, there are more people buying cash than there are people financing. So if in that $0 to $1 million range, yeah, I'd say most of the people are financing, right? And then when you start getting into the luxury market, there's a lot of people that if they're going to buy a $5 million house, they typically don't put, $500,000 or $1 million down and finance the rest. They're probably putting, $5 million down. They're just buying it outright. So they're less affected by the interest rates right now. So that may change. We keep feeling some, pain in the marketplace. Interest rates keep going up. Inflation, if it's still high in the next, 3 or 4 months, we're probably going to still feel some of that effect. And I think it will ripple up to the luxury market where you'll see more homes coming on the market. Someone in some circumstance needs to get out, they'll start chopping prices. So.
Yeah. Are you seeing any difference in like the number of people moving to the Valley? I mean, do you see much of a difference from last year to now as far as movement?
It's hard to tell when the inventory's gone up because you don't have the people fighting over the homes like they were because our inventory was so low. So it's hard to really quantify what's happening with people coming in and people going out. I will tell you that in if you went back 2 years, for me, 9 out of 10 buyers were out of state. They were coming in from another, part of the United States, whether it was East Coast, West Coast, north of us, whatever it was. I had a lot of West Coast buyers, and it is what it is, but a lot of people moving here from the West Coast. I think we're still seeing that. It's hard to tell the net migration out, but I didn't have a ton of sellers. I had mostly buyers, and the buyers that I had were from out of state. So I'm still seeing people coming in from out of state. There's a couple companies around here that are bringing in a lot of employees, whether they're moving them from other locations, or we have that Taiwanese chip manufacturer that's going in North Phoenix. That's bringing in a ton of jobs. There's a lot of other companies that have decided to, place their home bases here, and they're bringing in employees. So I think that's going to help us long term, certainly. But yeah, I'm still seeing a lot of people coming into the marketplace versus going out, and it just what I'm seeing. So,
yeah, absolutely. On the luxury side, I would assume the luxury buyer or seller probably is also following the stock market very closely. I don't know what kind of impact that really has on somebody's decision or not, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it does affect people. I think so I have some people that live in Paradise Valley, some really good clients that they'll do investments and they'll have other professions. They're not in real estate, but they have the money to invest in real estate to kind of push out their portfolio a little bit in some other areas. And some of those clients where they've been picking up, one or two or three properties a year, and then I'll put a tenant in there, a long-term tenant. They're not Airbnbs or any kind of short-term rental stuff, but they'll put a tenant in there and they'll just spread their wealth out that way, right? They're now the ones that I have, and I would say that I'm sure other agents are kind of feeling this too from the investor side. The investors that were doing that have kind of pulled back because of interest rates are going up. They're seeing some volatility in the stock market, to your point. And we're starting to get some price drops in the marketplace where they're buying is 300,000 to 700,000 range. Mm-hmm. So they're looking at those homes saying, okay, now I'm starting to see price reductions. We're coming out of summer, going into winter. Our summer months typically are slower just because more people leave the desert during the summer months, and they'll go up to northern states and get out of the heat, the ones that can. So we get a little bit less activity in the summertime. So usually there's some price reductions. People have got to sell. They'll sell over the summertime, and then as you get into the winter period, it's kind of cyclical. It's funny as we get into Thanksgiving, and right as we approach Thanksgiving historically, and then into the holidays, whether it's Christmas, Hanukkah, as you get into the holiday season in December and all the way to January 1st, it really does slow down here. That's just our marketplace. There's less people out looking. And I think coupled with the interest rates going up in the market, the equities volatility that's going on right now, and then, of course, everyone's talking about the war and there's a lot of negative stuff in the media. I think it's put a lot of people on the sidelines. So those investors that I had that would be picking up one or two or three homes right now for the back half of the year, they're not buying. They're sitting on the sidelines. They don't have to buy. They're keeping their money safe and just saying, hey, if I'm seeing price reductions in these price ranges, why not wait to the first of the year and see how much more they're going to discount, right? Makes sense. I would do the same thing. So, but you don't know. It's hard to time the market. We've got the Super Bowl here next year. That's a huge event for us. And then we have all of our other big events. We have Arabian Horse Show. We've got baseball, spring trainings here. We've got the car auctions. We've got the Waste Management Open, golf. We've got a lot of huge events because our weather is so awesome here during that time frame. So between January and I'll just say the end of May, we've got so many people in town. So I think that if we see a bounce back and interest rates kind of stop rising, or maybe if they inch down a little bit at the beginning of the year, I think that might put a stop to it. And then you might see pricing stabilize and then maybe even start ticking up a little bit where we get into a really normal market. And the people that waited the last few months, they could have got something at a discount and now they're back in the marketplace fighting against other people. So it's hard to time the market. It really is. You're taking a chance on that if you want to put your money and invest in real estate. I know the people that have made money in real estate invest early and often, and they just do long holds. Even the stock market, if the stock market drops, 1,000 points or 3,000 points over the course of a month or whatever it is, your best bet is a long-term hold, right? If you're day trading, you can get hurt, right? You can get hurt probably anyway, but your long-term holds are the ones that are really going to benefit. So same in real estate, long-term holds going to benefit. But, there's a lot of people that are sitting on the fence right now. So,
yeah. Are you seeing, you mentioned Airbnb. I'm curious, do you see many luxury properties bought for the purpose of Airbnb, like an executive style Airbnb, or?
I have. They're a little bit fewer from that standpoint. Those are always, higher to maintain. And then you've got to bring in a higher ticket person, someone that's willing to pay to play. So there are those in Paradise Valley and some other areas. There's not a ton. It's harder to book those. You're asking, a lot more money for those just to keep up with the maintenance and paying the taxes and whatever it is. So you see less of those. Where I'm seeing a lot of the Airbnbs is in Old Town Scottsdale. They don't have the HOA restrictions in most of that area. There's a ton of them there. You're close to all the amenities of Scottsdale. You're close to dining and shopping and just all the downtown amenities of Old Town Scottsdale. So you see a ton in that area. It's kind of changing though. They've been getting a bad rap. There's a lot of people come in, they party hard and, disturb the neighbors. They have lights on in the backyard and they're staying up late. They've been getting a lot of pressure. The city of Scottsdale has gotten a lot of pressure from not only the neighbors, but the local hotels. They're losing revenue right from these places. They're less doors for them to fill if all these homes are putting people in, at a lower rate. It doesn't help them at all. So they're feeling a lot of pressure on it, and they have changed some of the regulations. There's more regulations that are going in. They're not eliminating them, but they're making it harder to do it and making owners more responsible for the clients that they're bringing in, which is a good thing, but it's putting some pressure on those Airbnbs. I think you're going to see a lot of out of state investors starting to put their homes on the market. We're starting to see some of that too, because the new regulations are, at least in Scottsdale, is an owner has to assign a person of a responsibility, basically, to be in town and be able to be at the house within an hour of a disturbance. So if the police are called, let's say for a party, and they show up at Joey's home, and Joey lives in North Dakota, he has to have someone here on site who he's paying to show up. Otherwise, they risk being fined. And I think the fines are like $1,000 if you don't have someone show up within the time period that you need to be there to address the situation. So that's putting some pressure. And then there's other fines that are noise disturbance fines that they can issue, that they're just making it harder on people to have those, and also making them more responsible. So I think you'll see less of them. I think you'll start to see some of those sell, and the people that are buying them are going to be buying that. They might be first time home buyers, or people that are going to live in there instead of renting it out. Yeah. So I don't know if that answered your question, but there's less of them in the luxury market, definitely less.
Yeah, for sure. And I have seen I know Vegas, I think, put through some pretty or Clark County, I think it was, put through some pretty stringent guidelines going forward too, with regards to where they are located compared to the hotels and all that stuff. And I think you can only own, I think they couldn't be in an LLC any longer or something. They had to be in your actual name. Or, I mean, there were so many little variables that would make it like, okay, why am I even doing this?
Right. Yeah. You bring a lot of liability if it's in someone's personal name versus an LLC, where you can kind of manage your risk on those. So that would be hard. I think I'm
almost positive that was one of the things in there, but I have to go back and look. One of the agents I know in Vegas shared it, all the new guidelines. But so anything else you want to share with the agents before we move to the next segment? Maybe, as things are slowing down right now, are there certain things you would suggest any agent, whether luxury or not, be doing right now to kind of keep positive and, keep business going?
Yeah, I think that the three biggest things are get involved with the tours, get out there and see the product. That's what I try to always do. Hold homes open. Secondly, I think if you can, I know the inventory had been really low for a while, so I wasn't even holding homes open. The ones I'd list, I'd hold them open on the weekend, and then you'd have it sold. So I was holding them open, but it was a very brief period of time. Where now I think you have some more of a normalized market where you can get out there and meet people, and that'll help your business. And then I guess the third thing is follow up with your past clients, just see how they're doing, check in with them, reach out to people and see if they need anything. And as long as you keep, putting those feelers out and keep touching people, letting them know you're there and you're still in the business. I think those are the top three things really to do. I think if you're consistent on that, it's better than just putting an ad in the paper. So
yeah, for sure. Great advice. Appreciate that. We need to give a big shout out to Security Title Agency and Fidelity National Home Warranty for sponsoring the show. Always appreciated.
Absolutely.
All right, Eric, you ready to get in the ring?
Yep.
All right, let's do this.
It's going to get worse. No.
Would you rather listen to podcasts or watch YouTube videos?
Probably YouTube videos. I don't get on that a lot, but when you do, you kind of get enthralled with it. You can find some weird things, and just some of it, I don't know if it's real or not. And a lot of them that's going on right now are these cars spinning out in circles and people getting hit, and I don't even know what that's all about. I think I'd stay clear of those events. But
if you watch those, you're going to see more of those.
Well, that's true. Yeah, they probably just keep throwing them at you, right? Like when you talk about something in your house and you turn your phone on and there's an ad for that product, and it's like, wait a minute.
Oh yeah, they're listening. How about pizza or cheeseburgers?
Pizza, 100%. There's no doubt in my mind. I love pizza.
Yeah, all right, cheeseburger pizzas now. So
yep, that's true.
Do you use Apple or Android?
Apple, and I was Android years and years ago, and then got an Apple product, and I don't know what it was about it. And I'm not like everyone's got to have Apple. I mean, to each their own. I've seen some Android phones lately that are really cool, but Apple. So,
all right. Would you rather drive an electric car or gas car?
Gas. I've got to hear the engine going. I've got to hear it.
What if they
Have you
got
guys?
an electric car going and every time you stepped on it, it went vroom?
Well, I've never driven a Tesla. I've got some friends that have them, and someone told me, and I thought I saw it online too, that Elon Musk had a button, and I don't know if it was what model or if it's all the models, that you could put a mode on there, and as you press the gas, you would, to your point, you would hear an exhaust sound. So I mean, it's fabricated, and maybe I don't know if it's probably just inside the car, but it made you feel like you were driving a gas powered vehicle because he thought that'd be kind of cool.
Put subwoofers behind your chair.
Oh, no kidding.
And so when you step on the gas, it goes, vroom.
Oh, and you can feel it too, like a vibration.
Well, no, that's what I'm thinking.
He's making that up.
I saw it on a movie, so.
Okay. I read somewhere or saw it where he actually had that as an option in the vehicles, I guess. I don't know. Maybe, but I've never driven one. So,
Yeah. Well, I see that GM is coming out with a Cadillac, electric Cadillac.
is
And
it like 300 grand?
300K.
Yeah.
Yeah. 300K. And then I saw today Rolls-Royce has announced they say they have hundreds of people already lined up to buy theirs. And I think it was like 430,000 or 180,000. I don't know.
I didn't see the price on it, but I saw that today as well. I subscribe. I love cars. So I subscribe to all that stuff. So I probably get some of the same emails you get. And I saw that this morning, and it looks like their Wraith, the 2-door coupe that they have. It looked very similar to that vehicle, but they called it something else. Yeah, you're right. It's sort of with a C or something, but it was all electric. It looked really cool. I didn't see a price on it though. I don't think I read the article. I just saw the top line stuff. So
I'm seeing if I can find it. Oh, here we go. Rolls-Royce says it already has hundreds of US orders for its $413,000 electric car.
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
I mean, it looks real nice, but wow.
Yeah. Can you
Anyway.
imagine? I laugh at it when people, you've got to figure if someone's buying a $400 and some odd $1,000 car.
Well, you're talking about multi-millionaires, right?
Yeah, they've got some money to spend. Yeah.
Yeah. How about your last question, your favorite vacation destination?
I like the beach, and I know that's broad in scope, but my girlfriend and I did a trip this year back in July to Puerto Vallarta, and it was a colleague's condo, and she had let us use it, and it was an amazing trip. It was fun, but I love being on the beach, warm weather. I do not want to see snow on my vacations. I mean, I was born and raised in the Midwest, so I have got good and bad, memories of the snow. And the bad memories included shoveling the driveway, scraping the windows on the car, that type of stuff, sliding into something or whatever it was, falling on your back. So no, the beach.
All right. Yeah, I'm with you on that for sure. Well, thank you so much for joining us again, Eric. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. Thanks, Joey. I appreciate it. You guys are always awesome.
Absolutely. Until next time, agents, we will see you later. Take care.